Rise of the Robots. Are the trench periscope rifle, Krumerlauf, and corner shot really remote weapon systems? After all, the firer is still physically connected to the weapon system and must control it in some manner. However, modern man has produced truly remote weapon systems requiring no human contact with the weapon system. We mentioned the MG-34 Rundungsführer previously, but that was vehicle-mounted. The origins of these weapons are diverse and can be traced in some form to military explosive ordnance disposal, EOD, research, competitive bench shooters, and first-person shooter video games. An EOD technician's primary goal is to deal with explosives as remotely as possible. One of the leaders in modern EOD methodology has been the British, due in part to their experience in dealing with unexploded ordnance, UXO, when they were bombed in Germany in World War II. Then, following the war, the British dealt with increasingly clever and deadly improvised explosive devices, IEDs, set by the Irish Republican Army, IRA, in their decades-long guerrilla war spanning from the 1960s to the 1990s. It was during Britain's counterinsurgency campaign in Northern Ireland that the first remote control vehicles, RCVs, were used to assist in the removal of IEDs set by the IRA. Since then, several countries, to include the United States and Israel, have developed RCVs used by both police and military forces to combat IEDs. For decades, security forces all over the world have used sniper rifles to target UXO and IEDs with long-range accurate fire in order to detonate them from a safe distance. Why try and defuse a 250-pound aerial bomb up close when you can shoot it with a 50-caliber sniper from 100 meters away? With the advent of modern technology, various manufacturers have created RCVs with rifles and shotguns mounted to them so EOD personnel can fire at UXO and IEDs from the safety of a remote location. This combination of RCV and weapon resulted in the ability to remotely control and fire a weapon system without any physical contact with the weapon. In this case, the shooter uses a joystick and a computer to maneuver the RCV and fire the weapon. Precision Remotes T2. One of the most popular and effective modern remote sniping systems to evolve from these rather humble roots is the TRAP, Telepresent Rapid Aiming Platform, T2, made by Precision Remotes Incorporated. The T2 is a lightweight, 23 pounds, weapon platform with tilt and pan capabilities that can accommodate a variety of 7.62mm semi-automatic sniper weapon systems. This remote weapons platform can accommodate both traditional visible light and thermal imaging cameras for employment day and night. Once a sniper weapon is fitted to the T2, it is remotely controlled from a separate control station. Therefore, a person can control and fire the weapon from a location physically separate from the sniper weapon itself. A robotic weapons platform like the T2 has advantages over a human sniper. First, the weapon is not adversely affected by human contact like poor breath control, eye fatigue, trigger jerk, or a poor cheek stock weld. With the absence of human contact, the robot sniper can shoot more accurately at distance since the biggest element of poor shot placement at long ranges is human error. From a tactical perspective, the use of an automated sniper platform can make most counter-sniper efforts irrelevant. With a robot, one does not have to worry about the shooter getting hurt, wounded, blown up, or knocked unconscious from an artillery barrage, an airstrike, or an enemy sniper team. All one has to worry about is the cost of replacing the platform if it gets destroyed or captured. There are disadvantages with the automated platform like expense. Additionally, a robot is a large, heavy device, and although it may be smaller than a human, it cannot crawl under a car on its belly, it cannot stealthily climb a flight of stairs, and it cannot jump out of a window. The T2 is only appropriate for overt military operations because of its price, limited availability, sales are tightly controlled, it is available to law enforcement and government organizations only, and its inherent limitations as a machine. A machine cannot judge the wind, it cannot read a mirage, and it cannot instantly make all the finer motor adjustments a human shooter can in order to adapt to a changing environment. To date, the human being is still the most sophisticated and versatile weapons platform on the planet. Internet sniping. The 1997 film The Jackal A takeoff of the original movie, The Day of the Jackal, shows how one would produce their own remote control weapon system without the help of a large corporation or funding by a government. In this movie, Bruce Willis is the Jackal, and he has been hired to kill the First Lady. Willis, in turn, hires a techno-geek, played by Jack Black, to produce a weapons platform for him. Black designs a system armed with a modified Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle, which is controlled remotely from a laptop. After Willis is satisfied the remote weapon system works properly, he kills Black to cover his tracks and keep Black from talking about the Jackal or his creation. When the day comes to kill the First Lady, Willis has his weapon system set up in the back of a minivan, legally parked alongside the street and hidden in a sea of cars. Since the minivan blends into the urban environment and its tinted windows conceal the weapon, it proves to be the perfect firing platform. When it is time for Willis to make his shot, he shoots through the window of the minivan. Since the 50 caliber rifle rounds are so big and heavy, they shoot through the thin glass with very little deviation of their flight path. Also, the first bullet shatters the glass, and the subsequent bullets fly through the air with no deviation at all. While Willis's assassination attempt fails, he is able to make a clean getaway because his remote system enables him to be positioned away from the minivan, which draws everybody's attention. Clearly, the technology for remote sniping is out there, but is it so sophisticated only a large company with an equally large budget can afford to produce one? Does a more affordable, more concealable system only exist in Hollywood movies? The answer is no. In fact, John Lockwood, a Texas entrepreneur, created his own internet hunting company in 2004. Lockwood's idea was to build an inexpensive weapon platform with off-the-shelf technology which could be controlled via the internet. Then Lockwood sold hunting trips on his game preserve to people who were either handicapped or live in a different country and were unable to go hunting. Basically, a person would log on to Lockwood's internet site, liveshot.com, get control of a remote weapon platform equipped with a rifle, locate a wild boar on the screen, press a button, and shoot the animal. Then Lockwood would ensure the animal was dead, mount the head, and send it to the hunter who made the kill. Lockwood has since faced fierce criticism from the anti-gun and hunting lobby for creating a pay-per-kill system that removes all the traditional qualities that make hunting a sport. Others fear this internet killing creates a moral slippery slope where one day people will be killing other people over the internet as if they were playing just another first-person shooter game. There was enough of an outrage over Lockwood's new business that to date, more than a dozen states have passed legislation banning internet hunting to include Virginia, the first state to do so, Pennsylvania, and Lockwood's home state of Texas. There is also pressure to pass federal legislation making internet hunting illegal nationwide. How was it Lockwood could build a remotely controlled weapon platform without spending millions of dollars as with the T2? Actually, it was easy. First, he constructed a simple frame to hold the rifle. Then he mounted a webcam on the rifle so the internet hunter could see what they were shooting at. Next, he connected a car door actuator to the trigger so when a button on the computer was pushed, the trigger was pulled by the actuator. Lockwood also constructed a motorized tilt pan unit so the rifle could be directed at its prey. Overall, Lockwood spent an estimated $20,000 designing this system. The only problem, a minor one, was the camera only showed 15 frames per second, causing some lag time for the shooter at the other end of the connection. The implications of remote sniping through the internet are enormous. This type of methodology enables an organization to covertly emplace a weapon system and then control and fire it from a separate location. The shooter could be down the street in the back of a van, they could be across town in a rented apartment, or they could be in an entirely different country thousands of miles away. In order to ensure operational security, a team could be designated just to set up the weapons so they had no idea who they were setting the system up for. Or in another scenario, a shooter could set up the system in an apartment and then fly out of the country and conduct the actual sniping attack days or weeks later. Anyone can get tilt-pan units, webcams, actuators, and laptops, and they can be purchased anonymously over the internet or in pawn shops. Imagine if security forces discovered and captured a remote sniper system. What are they going to do? Who are they going to arrest? Who are they going to interrogate? Remote sniping not only makes the shooter safe from enemy counter-sniper measures, it creates an enormous forensic gulf, which security forces would have to try and bridge. A drawback to a remote sniping system is it is not very concealable, and the organization using them must be prepared to lose the weapon system in the course of their operations. Another consideration is such a sniper system is exotic and would raise eyebrows. Any illegal movement using such a system would quickly get a reputation and would be placed high on the security forces list, receiving extra scrutiny. Back to the bench resters and dumb sniping. Perhaps what the guerrilla sniper really needs is the ability to remotely fire a weapon, not the ability to control it from afar, which entails too large of a compromising signature. Where do we look for a remotely fired weapons system that does not require software patches, computer servers, and wireless connections? One place to start is with the simple gun rest. Slightly different versions are referred to as a gun vise. Gun rests are used for a variety of reasons, like holding a weapon steady so it can be cleaned or gunsmithed, and for holding a weapon steady as it is fired to test inherent accuracy. Scores of companies produce a wide variety of rests and vices, selling as cheaply as $50 depending on the model. The beauty of a gun rest is it holds the weapon absolutely still, so there's no human interference. Companies often manufacture remote devices intended to be used in conjunction with the gun rest and that pull the weapon's trigger so there is no human error introduced into the process. This way, a person checking out the inherent accuracy of the weapon can be sure their weapon is shooting true. Some gun rests are even manufactured with a built-in recoil system so subsequent shots can be fired with continued accuracy. Importantly, it is quite simple to rig the trigger to fire electrically, meaning a cell phone or car door opener could be used to initiate the trigger pull. Since a weapon secured in a gun rest can be fired remotely, a weapon could be sighted in on target or an object and then fired by an observer when a target moves in front of the weapon. Guerrilla organizations all over the world use this simple aiming principle to detonate IEDs. If an organization wants to detonate a buried mortar shell against a moving car, they bury the shell in front of a telephone pole and arm it with an electric firing device connected to a receiver from an automatic garage door opening system. When a car passes in front of the pole, they press the garage door opener, which in turn makes an electric connection and detonates the mortar shell. The same principle can be used with a remote weapon system where a gun is sighted on a target, like a mailbox. When an enemy soldier walks in front of the mailbox, the gun is fired remotely, striking the soldier. Since a rifle or pistol and the corresponding gun rest is such a small object that can be hidden in the trunk of a car, in a closet, or any number of small enclosed spaces found in a city. Does one need to use a complete rifle or pistol to get the job done? Could one scale the system down even smaller so it is more concealable and has a smaller signature? Yes, all one needs to do is look at the sport of competitive bench rest shooting in its unlimited class. In the unlimited class, shooters can use any type of weapon system they want to make the most accurate shot. Shooters discovered that by bolting the gun to a small platform, they can remove any play in their weapon system. Since the gun is bolted to a platform, they do not need the stock anymore, so they remove it. The resulting weapon is nothing more than a barrel, receiver, and trigger, and is referred to as a railgun. Since these railguns do not have a stock, they are small, about half the size of a normal gun. Also, they are the most accurate guns in existence because of the lack of human contact when fired. From the perspective of the guerrilla sniper, a railgun is the perfect design for remote sniping. It is small, easy to make, cheap, and does not raise any eyebrows when acquiring parts for the system. A pistol railgun is so small it could fit in something like a tissue box or a purse and could then be fired from within these concealment devices. A railgun is small enough it could fit under the hood of a car or fired from a concealment device like a gym bag. We are talking guerrilla sniping theory here, but could this actually be done, and has anyone already done this? The Iraqi insurgent sniper Juba. The German magazine Spiegel aired a televised documentary in 2006 on Juba, revealing a new Iraqi insurgent urban guerrilla sniper methodology. In this documentary, an insurgent propaganda video is shown detailing Juba's tactics. The first thing the viewer saw was an immaculate, well-oiled AK-47 rifle. On the end of the rule was a suppressor. The insurgent in the video, you never saw their face, demonstrated the effectiveness of the suppressor by firing it at a target in their backyard. The suppressor was quiet, and one could hardly hear the weapon firing at all. In fact, the moving of the action of the weapon itself was as loud as the suppressed gunshots. A closer look at the rifle revealed a short stock, which protruded only about 6 inches from the rear of the rifle's receiver. This specially designed stock reduced the overall length of the rifle, making it easier to maneuver in confined spaces, like inside a vehicle. Mounted on the rifle was a civilian scope, not the usual mass-produced Soviet variety. With this configuration, the insurgent sniper had the ability to fire a quiet shot at a target several hundred meters away from a relatively enclosed space. While these modifications revealed an experienced, savvy sniper, it showed nothing new. However, the insurgent video did not stop there. The video then showed the weapon being placed in a small, lightweight metal frame. The weapon sat perfectly secure in this frame, which could be moved to point the rifle in any desired direction. Then a small metal piece was attached to the trigger, so the weapon could be fired mechanically. This fabrication had several implications. First, this meant the shooter could set up this weapon in the trunk of a car or the back of a van or even in a building. The shooter could sight in the weapon on their target, but did not actually have to get down behind the weapon to fire it. As a result, the sniper could sit in front of a car facing forward and pull the trigger mechanically, firing the rifle at a target located to the rear of the vehicle. Furthermore, the rifle and frame could be easily hidden in a specially designed box of some sort. If we take this one step further, the weapon could also be fired remotely by radio control from a separate location. A shooter could set the weapon up in a trunk of a car with a small hole cut in the back of it, and line the weapon up with a soldier or police officer standing at a checkpoint. The actual firer could be located hundreds of meters from the car, press a button, and remotely fire the weapon, hitting their target. The counter-forensic implications of this remote methodology are enormous. In this manner, the person remotely firing the weapon would have no gunshot residue on them and would thus be physically and forensically separated from the attack, making investigative efforts difficult. The Iraqi insurgents have taken a nearly century-old idea, modified it using modern accessories like a good suppressor, a modern scope, and an aftermarket stock, and have created a modern, remotely fired sniping weapon. Sniping evolution. The art of remote sniping is still in its infancy. The world's militaries have yet to take the idea of remote sniping seriously, and most guerrilla movements are not sophisticated enough or educated in the field to make it a common tactic. In fact, the only movement we have seen attempt the art of remote sniping is the Iraqi insurgency. However, John Lockwood and his internet hunting venture show us just how easy it is to create an effective, truly remote sniping system. It is possible a movement like the Iraqi insurgency will seize on sniper tactics like the ones presented by Lockwood and Juba to protect themselves forensically and to defeat increasingly effective counter-sniper methods and technologies. Just as other resistance movements in Afghanistan and Lebanon seized on the Iraqi insurgents' innovative use of IEDs and car bombs, they too may copy more suitable guerrilla sniping tactics. The battle between sniper and counter-sniper has a long history and is always changing. There has truly been an evolution in the art of sniping and the responses to it. Sniper Darwinism, if you will. Both sides of the same coin have continued to evolve since the sniper is always trying to learn new and effective tactics, and, in turn, the counter-sniper is continually coming up with creative ways to thwart the threat of the lone gunman. This deadly game is never stagnant and is always changing. The sniper-counter-sniper methods described in this chapter and this book may be outdated in 10 years or even next month. However, the unrelenting drive to learn new tactics and exploit new technologies will keep the sniper and counter-sniper evolving far into the future.